Hello, good morning. Let's see if I can share one of these questions. Oh, awesome. Okay, this is awesome. So it says question from stories, but actually that's a question that I just added in there. Today we are going to be talking about bullet journaling. So if you've seen our stories, you'll know that's the topic. It's how to start bullet journaling, tips and demo with Mistral Spirit. That's me. And I like to write it on a little label. These labels are from the Washi tape shop. They look like this. Oops. They're vintage labels like that. They're so cool. Oh, and I was gonna open this up so I can follow along the comments a bit better on Instagram. So, I'll introduce myself in the live stream. Sometimes I forget to do that, so I wanted to make sure that I do that from now on. Just a couple of things. If you have any questions about bullet journaling, leave them in the comment box right here, and I'll get to them either during the session or at the end of the live stream. And then also I have a question that's just up there right now that I've posed for you. What is something you could talk about for 30 minutes with no prep? And I'm seeing a lot of people ask if I can save this live. So all of our lives are recorded and posted on YouTube. So it's the Washi Tape Shop. We have a YouTube channel. And they're also, if possible, sometimes they're a bit too long to upload to Instagram. But if possible, we also upload them to Instagram. So we'll upload this live to YouTube for sure and Instagram if possible. So if you have any questions about bullet journaling, leave them in the comment box so that I don't miss them in the chat. And in the chat, what is something you could talk about for 30 minutes with no prep? I thought this was a fun question to start us off because we're talking about bullet journaling today, and I'm going to give you an overview of bullet journaling. And if you know me, which I'm not sure if you do, but my name is Ioana. I'm a member of the Washi Tape Shop team, and I also have my own YouTube channel and blog called Mistral Spirit, where I share a lot of organization strategies, especially for students because I'm in my very last semester of undergrad, and as I've done some internships and things like that, a bit about the staying organized at work as well. So I focus a lot on organization systems, and I've been bullet journaling for 8 years now. 8 years, which is pretty crazy. So I'm going to walk you through everything I know about bullet journaling. I've also flagged some pages in all of my different bullet journals over the years. Here are some of them. There you go. These are pretty much all of my bullet journals. I didn't bring 2 of them, which were my earliest ones, which are worth seeing as well, just because they're in lined notebooks, and it was very not aesthetic or anything like that. So these ones were sort of after I had already started taking photos and posting about bullet journaling on my blog. So they're a little bit decorated and all that, but I've gone through lots of notebooks over the years and also tried lots of different styles of bullet journaling. So I'm going to share that with you, as well as just the basics of how to get started. So my YouTube channel name is Mistral Spirit. Mistral Spirit, and I've got it written down on this label here, so I know it's backwards right now, but when I flip the camera, you'll see it. And someone said I can talk about crafts in general for 30 minutes. That's awesome. I really like this question because it kind of gets to how you like to spend your time, and it also gets to what's something that you've really, really dived deep into in the past. And for me, it's definitely bullet journaling, staying organized, and art supplies as well. I know a lot about pens. That's from trying a lot of them. Someone said I can talk about color theory and difference in hues forever. That's a very cool one. That's a really cool skill. Planners and journals. I can talk about the game I love currently for more than 30 minutes. What game is that? Makeup for more than 30 minutes. Yes, I can definitely see that. I don't know that much. I'm still trying out different things. I kind of got into the makeup game a bit late. Crafts and rabbits too. acting, voice acting, and languages. Oh, that's really cool. I really like those actor on actor videos where they talk about their craft. I don't really imagine I would be a great actress, but it's very fascinating to watch and to hear about the strategies, and it's really a craft. I can talk about fairy tales, plants for 30 minutes with no prep, my favorite singer, who's that? Crafts and study, K-pop and cooking. Oh, these are awesome. And if you have any questions about bullet journaling, once again, just leave them in the question box so that I don't miss them, because we're gonna kind of be going through a lot of different questions in the chat as well. Questions for you. So questions for me, just put them in the chat box. I can talk about BTS. Oh, Shawn Mendes. True crime. Ooh, I can sometimes deal with that, sometimes not. I can talk about cosplay. I don't know how to pronounce that. Cosplay, anime, stationery. I love to collect journals and pens. Join the club. How can you take out time for journaling other than your career? I'll talk about that a little bit as well, but quick overview. Journaling is something I do for fun. So journaling is kind of crafting. I don't do that consistently by any means, but bullet journaling is the way that I stay organized. And I find when you're organized and you have a very clear system of how to do things and stay on top of things, it makes everything easier. So it's not really anything added on top. I find that taking that extra time to put into being organized saves time in the long run. And then a couple of questions about the washi tape shop. So once again, a bit about the live streams, and then I'm gonna flip the camera around. My name is Ioana. I'm a member of the washi tape shop team, and I am also a YouTuber, and I have my own blog called Mistral Spirit, where I talk about organization, bullet journaling, and productivity. I'm also an undergrad student, so I'm graduating in a couple of months from Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. I'm currently on campus, and I'm studying commerce at Queen's University, so Queen's Commerce, with a specialization in marketing and economics. And then, yeah, so I work with the washi tape shop kind of on the side on various projects and things like that. And I'm 22. Factoring polynomials, I love that, yes. School is definitely something you could talk about for a long time. Okay, so here is my desk. I'm just gonna set it up so it's really straight. Okay, and this is the topic for today. And if you're joining us here as well, I want to share this. Sometimes I forget to mention this near the beginning. So if you are interested in any of our washi tapes or have had your eye on anything for a while, we have a discount code for you. This was specifically activated a couple weeks ago for anyone who's joining us in the live streams. And it's a little way to say thank you to you for joining and crafting with us. We've got a lot of really fun things coming up. So the live streams are every Sunday and Wednesday at 10 AM EST. I'm in Toronto time, so if you want to convert that to your time zone, just look up Toronto time or EST. And it's currently 10 o'clock in the morning for me, which is why I had my coffee earlier, right here. And yes, and also if you want to just let us know at checkout that you're coming from the live, it's a really nice way to support the live streams that we're doing and the different ideas we've got coming up. So on Sunday, we're going to be doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions about washi tapes or the washi tape shop in general, save those for Sunday, where I'm going to be answering a lot of them at 10 o'clock a.m. And today we're focusing on bullet journaling. And then next week, starting next week and going into March, we're actually going to have guests joining us in the live streams, which I'm really excited about. So you'll see me as well as a guest. So that will be fun. Lots of different ideas for us to do. And you can always check out our Instagram stories to see what the project is going to be or what the live topic is going to be and what supplies you should bring if you want to follow along. So where did it go? Oh, I always kind of just things disappear. Maybe it's back here. One sec. That's hilarious. Yeah, I had a little sticker. It'll come up at some point. So today we're doing a how to start bullet journaling, and my Instagram is Mistral Spirit. I'm also a member of the Washi Tape Shop team, but on Mistral Spirit, I like to share about organization and productivity type of stuff. Okay, so a bit about bullet journaling. I'm just gonna make sure I can see all of your comments on my computer so I don't miss that. And thank you for sending in questions. I've seen a lot of those already, and I'm gonna answer those throughout the live, but also at the end. And just a quick question here, is this live going to be saved? We save all of our lives to YouTube, so it's recorded right now and you'll see it on YouTube. The YouTube channel is the Washi Tape Shop. And if it's not too long, we'll also try and publish it to Instagram, but sometimes we have some issues with that. So the answer is yes, the live will be saved. Mistral Spirit, that's perfect. Someone asked if that's how I spell my YouTube channel, Mistral Spirit, yes. Oh, it's under my tape box. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That is so nice, you just made my day. Okay, so here's what we're doing today, and that's how you spell my YouTube channel. Okay, fun. So I'm going to go through a couple of things today. I'm going to start off with an overview of what is bullet journaling. Then I'm going to go into some of the tools that you'll use. That's kind of the most common starter question about bullet journaling. Like, what do you need to start bullet journaling? So I'll talk about what you need and also what you don't need to start bullet journaling. Then I'll show you, I've flagged some spreads from my past bullet journals. So I'll show you some of those and just give you some inspiration about your own bullet journal, and as well as some spread ideas. And then I've also got a page here, bullet journal styles. So these are all kinds of different ways you can set up your bullet journal, professional, bold, modern. So I'll go through that a little bit. A lot of these things, so this one in particular is actually a video on my YouTube channel, Mistral Spirit. If you want to, look into that, I talk a little bit more about the bullet journal styles. And then the main topic, which is how do you start bullet journaling and what do you need, that's also based off of one of my YouTube videos, which is like 10-minute how to start a bullet journal crash course, something like that. You can find it on my channel. It's in under 10 minutes. I have some longer ones as well, but that one's a really good crash course of just like how do you bullet journal. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and then at the end I'll just take any questions that you've been sending in the comment box. So just because I'm talking a lot more in this live stream, it'll be a little bit more challenging for me to follow along with the chat box. But I'm going to ask you some questions along the way as well, so in that case I will. But just so that I don't miss any questions that you have about bullet journaling, if you can leave them in the question box, that would be so awesome. There's a little, I think it's the third icon at the bottom of your screen. And just a couple questions. Where am I from? I'm from Canada. I'm currently in Kingston, Ontario on campus, but I grew up in Toronto. And sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna share one question for you, which is what I'm gonna talk about first. Question from stories. Here you go. So since I'm gonna be sharing how to start a bullet journal, I'm just very curious, what do you use to plan? What do you use to stay organized? Do you use a bullet journal, a planner, some kind of a digital tool, or anything else? Let us know in the chat box, and feel free to talk amongst yourselves as well if that's helpful or you want to share any tips. This is all recorded, so it'll be really helpful for other people as well. Okay, so in essence, I'll show you one spread. I'm going to kind of cycle through really artsy spreads as well as some of my earlier ones that were less artsy. But bullet journaling was a system that was started by someone called Ryder Carroll, and I think it was 2013 or 2014. And really, like, it started as a Kickstarter campaign actually, which is quite interesting. But the main premise of it, and it's written on the website as well, it's kind of like the tagline of bullet journaling, the system, is that it's an analog system for the digital age. And that's really quite accurate. So, it's just a way to stay on top of all of your tasks, to keep track of your habits, to set goals, to plan ahead, and, sometimes people like to journal as well. And it's just an analog version of that. A few things that I like about analog systems are, one, that it's a lot nicer to pull out in public settings. So I'm a student and I like to use my laptop in class for taking notes. But when I'm in a one-on-one conversation with someone, for example, a meeting or a coffee chat, as we like to call it at Queen's University in Commerce, it's a little bit weird to pull out your phone and to write down, the task that you have to do. So bullet journaling is a nice way to have that on paper. It's also very visual, so for all of you who like visual systems, it's a really great system for that reason. And of course, you can get really fun and crafty with it. So I'm going to show you one of my earlier ones. This is the third bullet journal that I've ever used. And this is from 2017, and this is from 2021. I get a little confused between 2020, 2021, and 2022, just because I can't believe there have been 3 years that have flown by so quickly. And I'm just going to skim the chat here. So a lot of you are saying that you use planners and notebook or journal. I love Ryder Carroll. I have his book. Yes. Oh, I wonder, look at that. I have his book too. Sorry about that noise. So this is a book about the bullet journal method. It was actually sent to me for free, so I didn't purchase it, but it's pretty much the summary of the bullet journal method, and you really don't need to use this exact method. Just as an FYI, I definitely don't. I kind of adapted more so some of his earlier system, and it's kind of changed over time to add like a future log and things like that. There are some really creative ideas in here though too. And it just kind of walks through the way that he sets his system up. So these are some key concepts which I'm going to talk about as well. But the daily log, you'll see that's how it's written in his book. And it's quite similar to the way that I have my daily log. Here I wrote down the title first and then the tasks, and then here the title was on the left side and then the tasks were on the right, and I kind of had more of a column system. So lots of different ways, and the best place for inspiration is just online on Instagram or on YouTube for other styles. So that's the way that his works. I'm gonna move my things up a little bit so I can leave more space for the comments. Okay, so I've mentioned so far that it's an analog system for the digital age, and the reason I like to start with that is that it's really the fundamental premise of bullet journaling for anyone who's completely new is that, and this is how I like to explain it, is that it's chronological. So because it's a notebook, that's kind of the nature of a notebook. You've got one page after another bound together in a book. You're going to open the book to the first page and just start writing. And there's lots of different things that you would want to stay on top of and organized with. You'll want to have your daily to-dos. You might want to have a list of priorities, your habit tracker. You might want to have, a brainstorm spread where you're brainstorming all of your projects or your goals for the year. And all of that is essentially chronological. You can do your best to organize it with an index. So my current bullet journal has an index at the beginning because it's a loic term, like that. And I've really genuinely tried to do that before, but it just doesn't really work for me. But, you know, you could technically do it because it has numbered pages. In reality, there's a lot of just, it's all, you know, chronological. And there's not really much of a downside to that, as you might think, because I find personally when I'm remembering when I took a photo or when I wrote something down, I can think back to like about when did that happen, or when did I do that. So that's the one thing I want to start with, and then I'll walk you through some of the main tools and then the spreads. So a few questions here first. So some of you do scrapbook memory style and artistic photos. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do here. I've got some journals and stuff. Some journaling. Whereas here, I just kind of wrote some quotes and had some tasks. This was in high school, and this is in university. Is Bujo an app? Bullet journaling it's kind of used, usually bullet journal refers to the notebook itself, which is a little bit misleading because you don't need any kind of specific notebook to do it. So in a sense, I would say it's more of a system. It's an organization system, and there's lots of different ways. And I see a few questions about like not having time and things like that. And I think that's one of the main things I try to talk about on my YouTube channel, where I have some videos about bullet journaling. I wish I had more time to make more videos because there are so many questions that I get about it, and I really want to kind of share as much as possible. I find the most helpful thing with bullet journaling and being organized is having access to all of these different systems and being able to choose which ones work for you. So, you know, I wish I could share more in that respect, but I have a lot of videos already about bullet journaling, and the main thing that I try and talk about is that you really need to focus on the functionality of it. So here I was obviously spending some time decorating it and adding photos and like scrapbooking and stuff. I was kind of using it as a bit of a memory keeper as well. And that definitely takes a bit of time. Same with, for example, doing like cover pages, which is this one we did on our live stream together. But let me show you one of my current spreads. That's what it looks like. It's very simple, it's very functional. It's really just about writing down some things that I've got to do. And in this bullet journal, actually, that's another fancy spread, but this is more of a scrapbook. And I actually think I should have done this in a different notebook just because it's the pages are a bit thin. But yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought there. You really don't need to do anything more than being functional. And that's what I'm trying to show you by showing you this bullet journal. It was really just what I have to do that day. And currently, this is what I was going to say. Currently, I actually, because I've started accumulating, so this was from high school, and this was when I was just beginning to do some additional work. I had some more free time in third year at the start of the pandemic, and I was taking fewer courses, so I had more time to do some part-time work experiences and also work a little bit more with the washi tape shop. So I started having a lot more projects to do simultaneously, whereas here in high school, I just kind of had schoolwork to do. So after about one semester of this, I decided to switch over to a digital system for my tasks. But of course, I still use a bullet journal because of the benefit of an analog system, sometimes for planning out my priorities or for just a couple little tasks, like things to buy, make a quiche. It was great. And brainstorming. So this is the stuff that I want to talk with you about. All right, let's go through the tools. And I think I've got a question here that I was going to share. Oh, here we go. what tools do you use in your planner? So let me know in the chat, and feel free to chat amongst yourselves as well, because I find sharing what works for you is the most helpful thing for other people as well. So what are the tools that you use? So first of all, in bullet journaling, you need a notebook, of course. You can really do it on paper as well. It's really not, there's no rule about what you're supposed to use for the system, but usually bullet journal refers to this notebook, and it can be a dotted notebook. So the ones that I like to use are dotted, just because that way it kind of doesn't clutter the page with lines or anything like that, but I also can see where I'm writing and can stay within the lines and things like that. So that's your notebook. The type of notebook you choose depends on how you want to bullet journal. I personally really like notebooks with thinner pages, so this one's got a lot of pages in it, and it's also quite thick. This was, I think, one of my favorite notebooks I've ever used for bullet journaling. It's quite expensive. It's from Moleskine. It's the Moleskine Classic Expanded. And yes, I do play tennis. I used to, actually. And then, will this live be saved? Yes, so all of our lives go on YouTube, on the Washi Tape Shop YouTube channel. And I was mentioning something to consider is the thickness of your page when you're choosing a notebook. So I'll show you a spread here. I'll talk about the types of spreads in a sec, but this notebook uses very thick paper. And if you're into scrapbooking or watercoloring, for example, I've got another one here. If you're into getting very crafty, and at this point in my life, like this was, I think, a couple of years ago that I used this bullet journal, this notebook, I was kind of just getting crafty and things like that. So a thicker page notebook might be better for you then. This one's from London Gifties. The Washi Tape Shop also has one with thicker pages, and I currently like thinner pages, so that's what I've got here, and that's this one as well. Then the second thing you'll need is a pen, and the pen also makes more of a difference in functionality, because if you use a ballpoint pen, then you can use highlighting and, you know, add watercolor and things like that with, maybe not watercolor actually, but you'll be less likely to smudge what you're writing when you do highlighter on top. Whereas if you use a gel pen, which is what I was using here, it's probably a little bit easier to smudge. So this one was the Unibalsino 307. It's a little bit thicker, and it's a very smooth, dark pen. It's really nice. And then after that, I actually started using a thinner pen. This is the same notebook, same kind of thing, except I just changed the pen that I was using to another gel pen. This one's Muji with like a thinner nib. And it makes a big difference in the appearance of your bullet journal if that's something you care about. You might want to go for a thinner pen, and then depending on what mediums or what tools you're using, so that's one question I put up here, what tools do you use in your planner? You might want to go for like a ballpoint pen so that it doesn't smudge. And that's really, all you need, a bullet journal and a pen. But if you want to get decorative and crafty like this, then I like to use washi tape. I'm obviously affiliated with the Washi Tape Shop, but I've been using washi tape in my bullet journal since like 2017, 2016. Some of the first washi tapes I got, I just kind of used as little dividers and things like that, and now I get a little bit more crafty with the way that I use it. Then some stickers if you want, highlighters. I like to use these Muji Moleskine Mod Liner. These ones just have really nice pastel colors. Someone said, what ballpoint pen do you recommend? So the one that I currently use is really quite smooth. You'll see it's less black, like it has less of a dark color to it, but it's quite consistent for a ballpoint pen, which is pretty impressive. And usually you get ballpoint pens skipping quite a lot. So let's see if I can find it. I always make a mess with my desk and I can't find the supplies. Oh, here it is. So this one is the Bic Round Stick Grip. I know a lot about pens because I was really into pens in high school and trying to find the perfect pen, which is why I started using this one, which I would argue is the perfect pen for what I like to do. It's the Muji Hexagonal 0.38, so very thin nib. But then when I went to university, I was kind of experimenting with like being more on budget, I suppose. I wanted to have a pen that I could have in my backpack, in my purse, and just like have a bunch of these everywhere and never run out of a pen, and just like, you know, be very simple. I was in university, so, you know, going to lectures, you want to just grab your pen and make sure you're never out of one. And this one is a really, really good budget ballpoint pen if you're looking for that. Another really great pen, this is more of an art pen, but one of my favorites, Faber-Castell. I usually use this for the calendar spreads. So for example, this, I've used a ballpoint pen to actually fill in the stuff, but then the outlines and everything, those are with this pen because it's very smooth and it's India ink, which means you can watercolor over top of it, you can do anything, and it won't smudge. And if you have any questions, I think I'm missing quite a few of them, so just leave them in the question box. In a few minutes, maybe like 10 minutes, maybe 5, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna flip the camera around and just take a bunch of questions as well. But that's the ballpoint pen I recommend. I'm currently studying commerce, that's my course, at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. Shops you recommend for journals. I really like the Moleskine journals, mainly because of just the pages. I like thinner pages, which is, I feel like it's an odd preference. What are those called? Like, not controversial, but I think I'm in the minority maybe with liking thinner pages, maybe in the journaling community only, but for planning, that's what I prefer. But I've tried Scribbles That Matter before, which is this one. And I really liked this one. Here's a calendar spread that I did near the start of university where I would write down my deadlines on the day that they were due. And this is a bit thicker paper, but it's very white, it's not really ivory. And I would definitely, I think Scribbles That Matter would be my second choice after Moleskine. Some other great ones, the Washi Tape Shop, of course. We recently came out with a notebook that's also thick. It's a little bit thicker than this one though, and it's more ivory colored. What other ones are there? Loic Term is this one. I think they mostly have hardcover, and if I can do it, I would go for soft cover. I prefer those. Archer and Olive is also really great. They have also much thicker paper. I think it's thicker than Scribbles That Matter, so if you're more into like scrapbooking style bullet journaling, then I would go for the Washi Tape Shop has thicker paper, Archer and Olive has thicker paper, and Scribbles That Matter is sort of in between. All right, let's see. Bic and Faber-Castell bring back the memory of university. That's fun. Did you use the exact same combination? Faber-Castell, what kind? It's the Pitt Faber-Castell. I'm sorry if that's a bit blurry. And it just, as long as you look for one that's India ink. And yes, please, if you have other suggestions for brands or things like that, leave them in the comments for other people to check out too. All right, I'm going to put up another question as I move on to the spreads. Let's go with this one. So my question for you, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. while you leave your answers, but what is one word or intention that you've set for yourself this year? And then what I'm going to talk about next is the main spreads, the dailies, the monthlies, the weeklies, if you have weeklies, and a couple of other ideas. And then we'll talk about the collections. I love these, wow. So create, punctuality, vibrancy, change. What are some of the other words or intentions that you've set for yourself this year? Perseverance, curate. I love that, curate. Lightness, strong. That's awesome. So keep sending them in. Those are very inspiring. There's quite a few of them that I haven't thought of before, but I really like. Organization and motivation, elevate vibrations. That kind of rhymes. Organization, motivation, vibration, flexibility. So I wanted to talk about the spreads that you'll need for bullet journaling next. And really the foundational spread in bullet journaling is your daily to-do list. So if you just think about, staying organized, being on top of things, what you're going to start with is a daily to-do list. And there's lots of different ways to lay that out. I showed you a couple ideas from the bullet journal method as well. And there are plenty of styles online too. So this was one of my earlier styles. Then I kind of started using columns, which I really liked. And this is the daily, it's called. And then I started having some extra things along the side. So my priorities, my ongoing tasks, I called these projects. So projects were things that were more weeklies. So things that I wanted to do throughout the week. Then here's another example from this one. Actually, this is my pink bullet journal. It came right after this one. So this was still in high school. And that's kind of how I had my dailies then, in 3 columns instead of the 2. And again, plenty of inspiration online for the dailies. The next thing are the monthlies. So the monthlies, people use them in really different ways. These are basically calendar spreads. Let me find an example. Okay, here's a printout example. So the calendar spreads can look like this with just 3 weeks at a time, or they can, let's see. They can be a printable if you want. So this printable is actually on my website, Mistral Spirit. And here I was just kind of keeping track of a few things, like something active, something I was gonna say intellectual, but reading or learning or something like that. Something crafty or creative, and something just for fun, maybe social. And I kind of wrote things down in line with that. And again, that kind of goes back to the way that you use your monthly. You can use it to keep track of events, which some people do. I think I used it to keep track of events maybe for 1 or 2 years, but other than that, I never used it for events, just because I prefer Google Calendar for that, since I can plan a lot farther ahead of time, and I can also get reminders. What I use it for is either, something like this, where I'm planning out, I didn't have too much to do here in high school, so I was just kind of planning out my day to make sure that I was in a good mood, that I was getting some of my personal goals done. And then here in university, I was using it to keep track of deadlines. So there's actually no events here on my calendar, it's just deadlines. So the dots, the colored dots, here we go, were for the courses I was taking. So this was, you can see in first year when I was taking 100 level courses at Queen's University. And the dots are things that are due. So what do I have to do? And I would write them on the day that they're due. I find that helps a lot if you write down when it's due, because then you can just look ahead and see like, okay, for Wednesday, for the classes that I have on Wednesday, what do I need to have done by then? And then more recently, what I've started doing, let me grab one. Well, I can show you this one that we made a couple weeks ago. I only keep track of my habit tracker. And I first started playing around with this method a couple years ago, where I actually combined the calendar with my habit tracker. And what I've done now is I've actually gotten rid of the calendar completely, and I just use a habit tracker, because I've started, I mentioned earlier, like since I have a lot more projects on the go at the moment, I actually put everything from my calendar online instead, in an online, like a digital planning system. And so that's the monthly spreads and the dailies, and then you also might want to have some collections, which are basically just lists that are in the middle of your bullet journal or in the middle of your spread even. And I can show you a few examples of those. Here's a couple. So this one is regular maintenance tasks, I like to say, just kind of things for self-care or staying interested in learning or on top of my goals, things like that. This one is a spread that I've replicated a number of times in the past, and it's called Lifestyle Habits. And I kind of use these as like little progress bars, almost like in video games where I think you have those lifeline bars. And that's kind of the whole premise here, that they fill up over time as I progress. I haven't checked in on this for a while, but I like to think of habits as something that you build up over time. You kind of focus on one or two at a time, and you try and get into that habit. You build it up, and once it's really truly a habit, then you fill up your progress bar a little bit. And that way you also break them down. So here I broke it down by creative, fitness, energy level, and intellectual. And I had, goals that broke down a little bit more. So, reading the news or reading in breaks. I like to read over lunch sometimes, things like that. And just getting into the habit of either thinking about doing that or sticking to those at a certain interval, like sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night. That's a fun spread for that. You can also do your yearly spreads. So I've asked you guys here in the comments, what's one word or intention you've set for yourself this year? Since 2017, I think I had a word of the year. I don't think I made one this year, strangely. But in 2021, it was simplify. In 2017, I think it was intent. And that was a year where I really, got on track with some of the big goals that I had had for a while. 2018 was go with the flow. So those are some examples. All right, let's see what else I had here. So that's really all you need to bullet journal. Your dailies, if you want to plan your monthlies, and I've shown you a couple different examples of monthlies. And what I wanted to show you next is just do a quick flip through of some style ideas. So if you are new to bullet journaling, these are some ways you can set up your bullet journal. And depending like where you're using it, this is a printable if you want to check it out on my blog. But if you're, for example, in an office and you want to have your bullet journal open a lot of the time, you might want to go for something that's less colorful, or maybe you don't, depending on your style. But these first ones are something you could use in that case, like minimal, professional. And you see I've got the calendar, the dailies, and the collections here, and maybe some habit trackers. Modern, these are kind of ways to decorate, set it up, so on. Bold. Colorful. Which one of these are you, if you see one here that you like? Here I was using the mild liners. I guess, yeah, I don't know if I have this question here, but what's a style? Like in one word, how would you describe your style? This one's elegant, so lots of cursive. Doodler, again, if you are a doodler, you might want to go for thicker paper, if you're using watercolor especially. Artist, getting very crafty now. And if you want a closer look at these spreads that I'm flipping through right now, there's a video on my YouTube channel for it as well. Scrapbook. So which one of these do you guys think you are? Minimalist? Colorful? I see. Crafty. Yeah, crafty is very much, well, so is scrapbooking with washi tape, but crafty's got a lot of washi tape. And then this is a cover page I made for this one. This was my bullet journal where I was really getting crafty. And here's a more recent one. This is kind of more scrapbook-y. I was playing around with a mood board. Someone said I do different ones, still discovering my style. Yes. As you can see, like I've really changed my style over time too. Just kind of playing around with it, and getting creative. And then lastly, for the collections, I wanted to show you a couple of ideas. So at one point, I took this notebook and I said I would make it into a collections notebook because I was writing down some lists in all of my bullet journals that I wanted to keep, like I didn't want to have to keep rewriting in all my other bullet journals. So for example, this spread is a sleep schedule tips spread, and you can also find this on my blog, Mistral Spirit. I've got a printable of this too, I think, if you want to download that. But it's just tips on, resetting your sleep schedule. I did this back in 2020, March of 2020. So it was kind of my way of resetting my sleep schedule too. And similarly, this is more of like a creative spread, not really a list. This is an example of like tracking your finances. I do that digitally as well, but I was experimenting with doing it in a bullet journal. And some of these lists, I decided to try and put them into a collections notebook. I really haven't stuck with this, but it's a nice way to show you some of the ideas for collections that you can do. So one of them that I've done a lot of, and on YouTube a lot of people really liked this one, is my Seize the Day apocalypse. So it's kind of a bucket list. I like to call it apocalypse so it doesn't have those morbid connotations, but it's just a long list of things that are on my list. And I first made this in high school. So I was looking over this last night, and there are definitely a number of things on here that I just don't really have a desire to do anymore, which is really funny for me to see. But a lot of them are checked off as well. So just a list of an apocalypse. Then I mentioned I've done this one a number of times before. This is another way that I laid it out before, the lifestyle habits. So these are just bars, and everything is broken down into really bite-sized, manageable chunks that you can progress on. Another one that's quite fun is a favorite recipes list you can do. And then, of course, this one's not so much a collection, but I originally had this written down in a bullet journal and then I moved it to here. And you can also download this as a printable if you want. All of these printables are free, by the way. I don't ask for your email or anything like that. If you visit Mistral Spirit, you're welcome to download them. And this is just titles and dividers, things that you can use in your bullet journal. So definitely check that out if you want to look. You want to have a closer look at this. And then finally, the bullet system. This is the system that I've developed over time, and I like to use a task box with some key signifiers like this. And that's just kind of how I keep track. One of the main things I do in my bullet journal, or I try to do with my system, is I keep it consistent across my notes, my notes for school, my meeting notes. Everywhere that I'm writing anything down, I use the exact same system. And I call that being adaptable. It works if I'm doing a math class, if I'm doing a humanities class, if I'm studying law, like intro to law, or if I'm just planning my day. I have the exact same bullet system. So you'll see in my class notes, I've walked through those as well on my YouTube channel, but if I am taking notes, I'll take them with a dot as well. And if there's a question that I have that comes up throughout the notes, I'll put a task box to the left in the margin of my notes. And so those are basically the exact same things across my notes, and I just kind of know what to look out for. So that's a really quick crash course on how to start a bullet journal. I'm going to flip the camera around now and take a bunch of questions that I've been seeing coming up in the chat. So let's see. If you have any other questions, by the way, and you haven't sent them or I haven't answered them yet, just send them in the question box and I'm going to do my best to answer them. And we'll do this for 5 minutes, or let's say 7 minutes, until 11 a.m. And then I'll share the live stream as well on YouTube. So it always takes a couple of hours to upload. So you'll see it in a few hours if you want to watch the replay, if there's anything you missed. And if you are interested in anything more about bullet journaling, then you can check out my YouTube channel, Mistral Spirit. And I've got a lot of videos on there, and there's also plenty of incredible creators with different ideas as well for you to check out. And yes, thanks for the reminder. A couple of quick things. So if you are joining our live, we have a discount code for you for all the washi tapes and pens and more recently some stamps on our shop. So we activated this specifically for anyone who's joining in with the live streams as a thank you. You can get 15% off at checkout. I recognize this is reversed, but it's live 15 for 15% off. And then this is what we did today, how to start a bullet journal tips and demo with Mistral Spirit. So if you're interested in checking out any more of the things that I showed you specifically, some of these printables, just the bullet journal spreads in general, you can check my blog and YouTube channel, Mistral Spirit. I do crafty journaling things, but I mostly, as a student, I focus on organization strategies. So that's why I decided to go with how to start a bullet journal for today. So let's see some questions. All right. So the first one is, do you art journal? And if you upvote the questions, it'll put them in a little list for me so I know which ones you're more interested in knowing about. Since I'm not sure if I'll get quite to all of them. Maybe I'll do this once more with some more questions. So do you art journal? Yes, I do. I've done a couple of crafty art journals with you. A couple journals I keep are a quote journal. Let me actually go grab that. Alright, so this is my book quote journal, and I write down quotes from books that I really like, just like that, and I decorate it with washi tape. We've actually done one of these spreads in the lives for Legend Born and for The Sense of an Ending. So you can watch that on YouTube. It's actually already available as a replay if you want to see how I set that up. And then my scrapbook is in this beautiful craft paper Archer and Olive notebook. I really like toned paper for like scrapbooking and painting as well. Most of my travel sketchbooks are on toned paper, and I have some flip throughs on my YouTube channel too. So this is an example of something I've done. It says, "Autumn whispered to the wind, I fall but always rise again." It's a quote by Angie Wayland Crosby, and I've got some close-up photos of that. And you know, stuff like this. I'm gonna cover up a name here, but this is some coloring that I did as an activity. So those are really fun to do. How to come up with layouts. The best place is looking online. There's lots of ideas on there of different styles and also different collection ideas. I've got a list on my blog with just a long list of collections. I actually have a video called 62 spread ideas in under 3 minutes. Some people have said that it's a little too fast, but I guess that was kind of the point, to just whip through as many collection ideas as I could think of, so you can check that out. Best, oops, didn't open. Oh, I think it just deleted. The best stationery and notebooks in my opinion. So for getting crafty, I obviously love washi tape. I use that a lot. I really like that a lot of it more recently is artist designed. We've been working with a lot of artists for the artist collaborations, and those are really fun to add into the bullet journal because you're kind of incorporating someone else's art into your own. So that's cool. For notebooks, I personally like moleskin just because of the thinner paper, and I've been using those the most for bullet journaling. But if you're looking for thicker paper, if you're into scrapbooking or watercoloring, then you might want to go for the washi tape shop. We have some thicker paper notebooks. Archer and Olive has some really nice ones, and I personally really like the white of the Scribbles That Matter. So that's this one. And the paper is a little bit thicker, but it's very white. So that's nice for if you want to get a bit more scrapbooky or watercolory in your notebook. I'm adding an E at the end of everything. And then for pens, I like this ballpoint pen, big round stick grip. And for gel pen, the Muji hexagonal pen is really good. And the Signo, Uniball Signo, S-I-G-N-O 307 is a thicker gel pen. Do you ship to India? We ship to most countries, so if you want to just double check, send us a DM. We'll let you know. And then, can you do the next live stream of your desk tour? I think I have a desk tour, maybe not of this one, but I would love to make a YouTube video about that. I'm not sure if a live stream would work too well for a desk tour, but I've got that written down for YouTube. Then my YouTube channel name is Mistral Spirit, if you want to check that out. And this question I get a lot. Did it share? It's how can you bullet journal if you're not good at art? And I mentioned this at the start of the video, but if you're bullet journaling, you're just starting out, I would focus on the functionality of the planning system that you're using, because that's so much more important than getting artsy or scrapbooky or creative with it. Those are all things that come on top of the actual functionality of the system, which is to help you stay organized and on top of things. So you really don't need to be artsy or good at art or anything like that. And washi tape or stickers or adding in like printouts is a really cool way to incorporate someone else's art into your scrapbook or your bullet journal if you want. Then from where do I take my inspiration? I get a lot of, oops, some of these aren't shared. I get a lot of inspiration from other scrapbookers and bullet journalers. There's a lot of really great inspiration online to check out, including on the Washi Tape Shop page. So that's a great source. Just checking online. Also YouTube, there's quite a number of bullet journal YouTubers, and they have some great stuff. Then, how many notebooks do I go through in a year? Usually about 1 per year on average. Sometimes I do, like this one that I've recently finished is very thick, so I took a year and a half to get through this one. I kind of keep mine pretty compact. I don't do a lot of extra stuff. Recently, I've been doing some more scrapbook-y things like this. I've never really done such a, dramatic monthly spread. So I usually keep things fairly simple. Maybe add some washi tape and some drawings here and there. Then someone said, sometimes I want to start a bullet journal but usually get blocked and don't know what to write. What do you recommend or what do you suggest is a better way to start for people like me? So I would start with just the task list, the daily to-do list. That's what my bullet journal is focused on. And I just start writing. Over time, I've kind of developed this system where I have 3 columns where I write the date here, and then I fill in the tasks in 2 columns. But you can start any way. You can write the date across the top and just start writing your tasks for the day. And even in this one, this is, from last week, and this one's from today. I've got my tasks for, I think it's a Tuesday up here, and then I've just got a list of things that I wanted to brainstorm or plan out, and it's just in the middle of my page. It doesn't need to be, an entire page just with to-do lists for each day, and then an entire page with just like tasks, brainstorm or anything like that. So I would just start writing, and getting inspiration online helps too. But it doesn't, sometimes I have pages that are just really messy, brain dump, stuff like that. And I like to decorate with washi tape afterwards. That kind of adds a bit of jazz to the spread, but it starts out just black pen on paper. Then I'm gonna choose 2 more questions and then wrap it up for today. So let's see. Will you, another question, can we see your bucket list, or can you tell me some amazing things to try in life? I have a blog post with my bucket list ideas, so if you want to check it out, you can also Google apocalypse, like apocalypse, but apocalypse. That's what I've called it, and there's a whole list there. And then someone asked, will you be posting the tools you use and the brands? I'll share some of them to the stories on Instagram stories, and if you want to watch this back on YouTube, I'll have links to what I've talked about as well. So on YouTube, it's on the Washi Tape Shop YouTube channel. And I don't know if you can see my eyes going really fast. I'm trying to read quickly. Favorite washi tape and things we can include in the monthly spreads. Let's do that. So, what's your favorite washi tape collection? I'll take a few more of these questions. So the live stream we do every Sunday and Wednesday, every single week, and this coming Sunday I'm going to be doing a Q&A. And then afterwards, starting in March, we're actually gonna have guests over, so other artists from the community, and I'm so excited about that. There's some really cool artists coming on to the live streams and some really cool just general ideas that we're gonna share with you. So that's beginning in March. And so if you have any questions about like the washi tape shop or anything else that I haven't talked about yet, save it for Sunday. I'm gonna just go through a lot of different questions. But my favorite set, I usually say, is the one by Federica, which looks kind of like this. I don't know where my other one went, but it's a black and white set with floral elements, and I just love how intricate it is. I'm really into art that's very, very detailed and intricate, and I think it adds a lot to the spread when I use it. And then finally, let's do what are the things we can include in monthly spreads? So I mentioned that your monthly spreads can be for events. You can keep track of events there. You can also keep track of deadlines if you've got deadlines for school or work. And, oh, it's your favorite too? Yeah. And it's also got some brown ones. And then you can also do like habit tracking in your monthly spreads. That's what I've been doing recently. And I've actually gotten rid of the calendar entirely and I just do the habit tracking. I'm missing just one here, but, and otherwise, you can journal. One thing that I did at the start of university, which is very cool to look back on, is I created 2 calendars every month, one with just my deadlines and one with memories. So every day in the box for the day, I don't know why I'm holding this one up, for the box that was corresponding to that day, I would write down a memory, and it's so cool to look back on that because it was one of the more consistent things or ways that I was journaling at the start of university, and I made a lot of memories in that year, so it's pretty cool to look back on. And I think that's it for the questions for today. You can watch the replay on YouTube if you missed anything or you're just joining in now. We did how to start a bullet journal, tips and demo with Mistral Spirit. A bit of a crash course. Maybe I tried to fit in very much into it, but I hope you got a lot out of it and some good ideas as well. If there are any things that you want to have a closer look at, a lot of the things that I shared are on my YouTube channel, which is Mistral Spirit. And my name is Ioana. I'm part of the Washi Tape Shop team. I also have my own YouTube channel and blog, and I'm a student. I'm graduating in a few months from Queen's University in Kingston. So I'm going to be back here on Sunday at 10 AM EST and 9:30 AM on TikTok. This coming Sunday, we're going to do a Q&A. So if you have any questions, maybe save them for Sunday. We'll have a question box as well for you to share before. And after that, we're going to get started with some guest live streamers, which I'm so excited about. That's going to be very fun. We'll have kind of a split screen, so we'll see two different journals and we'll craft together. If you want to know what supplies to bring, just check our stories the day before. We're always going to post what the topic is and what supplies to bring. So this was so fun. Thank you for joining me, and I really hope this was helpful if you're starting a bullet journal. Main thing to take away is to focus on the functionality of your bullet journal, and that's really it. So have a wonderful Wednesday, and thank you for joining. I'll see you again on Sunday. Bye.